In 1946, the Glenn L. Martin Company introduces the Model 202, an unpressurized twin-engine airliner designed as a replacement for the Douglas DC-3. The 202 receives full civilian certification in August of 1947, months before any rival design. Northwest Airlines launches 202 service in November of 1947, and the aircraft earns orders from Pan American, LAN Chile, and several U.S. domestic carriers. Then, on a route over the American Midwest in 1948, a Northwest Airlines 202 comes apart in flight. The investigation reveals a critical structural flaw in the wing spar, metal fatigue in the alloy Martin had selected to save weight. Northwest grounds its 202 fleet. Orders evaporate. Airlines that have been weighing their options stop weighing them. They go to Convair. Martin responds by designing a better aircraft. The 404 gets reinforced wings, a fuselage stretched 3 feet to accommodate 40 passengers, full pressurization, and air conditioning. It makes its first flight on the 21st of October 1950 and receives type certification in early 1951. Eastern Airlines takes 60 aircraft. Transworld Airlines takes 40. Those two orders represent the entire commercial production run. 103 aircraft are built at the Baltimore factory between 1951 and 1953, and not one additional aircraft is sold to any airline anywhere. The 404 enters commercial service on the 5th of January 1952 into a market that has already chosen its preferred aircraft, an aircraft that Martin did not build. Convair had entered the DC-3 replacement race with the Model 240, a pressurized 40-seat twin that made its first flight in March of 1947 and entered service with American Airlines in June of 1948. The Convair 240 was not dramatically more advanced than the 404 that followed it. In several measurable categories, the Martin was the stronger aircraft. The 404 was approximately 32 miles per hour faster at cruise, carried the same 40 passengers, and offered a comparable range of just over 1,000 miles. The difference was not performance, it was timing and the reputational collapse left by the 202. Between 1947 and 1954, Convair sold the 240, its stretched successor, the 340, and the later 440 Metropolitan to airlines across the United States and internationally, accumulating orders for over 1,000 aircraft across all variants. American Airlines alone had placed an initial order for 100 Convair 240s, reducing it to 75 only when passenger traffic failed to reach projected levels after the war. United Airlines, BRAF, KLM, Swissair, and dozens of other carriers committed to the Convair line as their standard short-haul equipment. By the time Martin had corrected its wing design and added pressurization, those airlines were already signed, trained, and stocked with spare parts for an aircraft that was not the 404. The sequence of events that delivered Eastern and TWA to Martin is itself a story of competitive miscalculation. Both airlines had been in negotiations with Convair in the early 1950s for an improved variant of the 240. When the representatives arrived at the Convair plant in San Diego to review the preliminary paperwork, they were told that the improved variant had been canceled and that they would be required to accept the standard production 240 instead. Neither airline accepted. They turned to Martin. TWA designated its 40 aircraft the Skyliner and began scheduled operations on the 1st of September 1951, operating transcontinental routes that ran coast to coast across the United States. Eastern designated its 60 aircraft the Silver Falcon and flew them on the eastern seaboard and into Florida. No other airline ever placed a new production order for the 404. The aircraft Martin had spent 4 years correcting, certifying, and delivering had found exactly 2 customers, and both of them had arrived at Baltimore because a different manufacturer had let them down first. By the way, if you're into stories like this, you can subscribe. There's a lot more coming. The Martin 404 was a technically accomplished short-haul airliner whose 2 operators put it into sustained service for a decade. Each aircraft was powered by Pratt & Whitney R2800 CB16 18-cylinder 2-row air-cooled radial engines, each rated at 2,400 horsepower for takeoff and 1,800 horsepower in normal cruise conditions. The 3-bladed Hamilton standard propellers measured 13 feet and 2 inches in diameter. The aircraft had a wingspan of 93 feet and 3 inches, a length of 74 feet and 7 inches, and a maximum takeoff weight of 44,900 pounds. The pressurized cabin gave the 404 a genuine operational advantage over the aircraft it replaced. Where the DC-3 had flown at altitudes below 10,000 feet, inside weather systems and through turbulence that made short routes physically uncomfortable, the 404 climbed to a service ceiling of 29,000 feet and cruised at 18,000, above the weather that dominated North American domestic routes. The aircraft's built-in ventral air stairs in the lower tail section eliminated the need for separate boarding equipment at smaller regional airports, which mattered considerably in the early 1950s when ground infrastructure across the United States was still developing. The aircraft also carried a combustion heating system in each wing for thermal de-icing, a feature that extended its operational utility across the northern portions of TWA's transcontinental network. The 404 was faster than the Convair it competed against. Its maximum speed of 312 miles per hour at 14,500 feet exceeded the Convair 240's performance, but it was more expensive to operate. Fuel consumption during climb reached 300 gallons per hour, settling to between 185 and 200 gallons per hour in cruise. Operating costs per available seat mile ran higher than Convair equivalents, and the Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines required careful management of oil cooler doors and cowl flaps throughout cruise. Airlines that had already committed to the Convair line had no financial incentive to introduce a second aircraft type into their fleets, absorb the transition costs, train new mechanics, and take on a higher operating cost for seat mile. The aircraft was competitive on every specification sheet and losing ground in every boardroom. The Martin 404 had been in frontline service for less than 5 years when the aircraft that would end its commercial career began to arrive. The Boeing 707 flew for the first time on the 15th of July, 1954, and Douglas followed with the DC-8 prototype in the spring of 1958. Neither entered airline service immediately, but their presence reordered every fleet planning calculation the major carriers were making. TWA began withdrawing its Skyliners in the late 1950s, completing retirement on the 29th of April, 1961. Eastern retired its Silver Falcons by the end of 1962. Both airlines moved directly to jets without replacement piston equipment. As Eastern and TWA decommissioned their aircraft, the 404s moved into the networks of smaller regional carriers still operating piston equipment on low-density routes where jet economics made no sense. Pacific Airlines, Piedmont Airlines, Ozark Airlines, and Mohawk Airlines all absorbed 404s from the major carrier fleets during the 1960s. Southern Airways acquired 25 ex-Eastern 404s in October of 1961 and built a scheduled service network from Atlanta across the American Southeast. The aircraft found a second life in precisely the market segment for which it had originally been designed: short routes, smaller cities, regional connectivity, operating as used equipment at purchase prices far below its original production cost. On the 1st of April 1956, TWA Flight 400 crashed on takeoff from Greater Pittsburgh International Airport, killing 22 of the 36 occupants. Neither the Flight 260 accident in 1955 nor the Flight 400 accident in 1956 produced findings that altered the fundamental airworthiness assessment of the type, but both contributed to operational scrutiny of the aircraft during the years it was still carrying passengers on frontline routes. The 404 also found a parallel existence in the private aviation market, where its 40-seat capacity could be reconfigured as a 16-seat executive transport with a level of space that corporate aircraft of the era could not match. Frank Sinatra operated a heavily customized 404 with a lounge area, a piano, a curved bar, a bedroom, and an artificial moon and twinkling stars built into the ceiling of the passenger section. Ray Charles used a modified example for touring. Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell both flew on 404 charters operated through the Flying W Ranch charter service in New Jersey. None of that activity changed the commercial position the aircraft had occupied since its first delivery. The Martin 404's longest-running commercial operator was also the airline that most clearly illustrated why the aircraft had never achieved the sales volume its engineering merited. Southern Airways held 25 404s in active service from 1961 and flew them continuously on its Southern regional network for 17 years, replacing the last of them on the 30th of April 1978 with Fairchild's Swearingen Metroliner turboprops. That final Southern Airways departure was the last scheduled piston-engine airliner flight operated by any major United States air carrier. The Martin 404 closed the piston chapter of American commercial aviation, not the aircraft at the front of that era, but the one still operating at its close. Glenn L. Martin died on the 5th of December 1955 in Baltimore. He did not live to see the full commercial consequence of the 404's limited market reach. In 1961, 6 years after his death, the company he had founded in 1912 merged with the American Marietta Corporation to form the Martin Marietta Corporation. The production of commercial aircraft ceased entirely. The company redirected its engineering capability toward missile development, the Titan ballistic missile program, the Bullpup, the Pershing, and toward space exploration hardware. The last aircraft to leave the Baltimore factory, a United States Navy P-5M2 anti-submarine patrol aircraft, rolled off the production line in December of 1960. The Convair line, meanwhile, had offered an upgrade path the 404 did not. Airlines that had bought the 240 in 1948 could later convert those aircraft to Rolls-Royce, Jart, or Allison 501 turboprops, producing the Convair 580 and 600, which remained in regional service into the 1980s and 90s. Martin had examined a turboprop development program for the 404 and had begun preliminary work on a redesignated Model 303, but wrote the project off for tax purposes without completing it. The 404 thus had no upgrade path beyond the piston configuration it had entered service with in 1951. When turboprops made piston operations uneconomical, the 404 had nothing to become. 8 Martin 404s survive on static display in the United States, with a 9th example in storage. The last airworthy 404, an ex-TWA aircraft registered N636X, was ferried to the Plains of Fame Air Museum in Val, Arizona in February of 2008. The Glenn L. Martin Aviation Museum in Middle River, Maryland, maintains an example painted in the markings of the original prototype. The aircraft that carries those markings, construction number 14,233, was delivered to Eastern Airlines on the 4th of November 1952 and flew scheduled passenger service for a decade before passing through private ownership and reaching the museum in 2001. It represents a company that built 103 aircraft across its commercial program, sold every one of them to 2 customers, and never received another new airline order. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep aviation stories, and drop your thoughts in the comments.